Well, hello everyone, and welcome to this webinar organized by Coupa. My name is Jasmine. I'm a Coupa Supplier Enablement Specialist, and I'm going to conduct the Coupa Supplier Portal training session today. The purpose of this webinar is to provide you with an extensive training on Coupa invoicing and Coupa functionalities and make sure you have a smooth transition to the new invoicing and payment process. Some of you use Coupa to submit invoices to your customers, some use Coupa to receive digital payments, and some use Coupa for both. Respectively, some of your customers use Coupa for their supplier payments and some don't. I will refer to these two groups as pay and non-pay customers. I will also draw a comparison between the two groups throughout the whole webinar, and I will explain the differences in your supplier experience depending on whether you work with a Coupa pay or non-pay customer. I would like to start by highlighting the big benefits that we see for you as a supplier in your relationship with your Coupa customers by using this portal. Using Coupa will optimize the procure-to-pay process not only for your customers, but also for you as a supplier. The Coupa Supplier Portal will allow you to track your purchase orders, invoices, and payments in one place. You will be able to see not only your current purchase orders and invoices, but also the historical ones. Coupa will allow you to create your invoices directly from a purchase order, meaning that the content of your invoice will be already in the purchase order, and you will just have to flip that purchase order into an invoice. You can also maintain your company information, payment details, and contact data at any time and keep them up to date. More importantly, you will be able to get paid faster by uploading your invoices by yourself. This way, they will be coming in electronically rather than having someone entering them manually. Also, your payments will be digital, so your customers will be able to pay your invoices faster. In the Coupa Supplier Portal, you can create a complete and up-to-date business profile of your company. This will increase your visibility with the buyers in the Coupa community looking for the services and products that you offer, and this could generate new business opportunities for you. Last but not least, the Coupa Supplier Portal is at no cost for your company and is a secure platform to use. Regarding security, Coupa applications are hosted on Amazon Web Services, the same infrastructure that supports Amazon.com's business. So your data and payment information are always kept secure. Passwords and other data are encrypted during transport. You can also enable multi-factor authentication in the Coupa Supplier Portal to strengthen the security of your account. Here are some useful links where you can access more information about Coupa and the Coupa Supplier Portal. We encourage you to bookmark supplier.coupa.com as your one-stop shop for Coupa Supplier Portal help. Here you will find everything you'll need to know to get started with your customer. The site contains help pages based on key tasks like how to set up online payments or how to create an invoice. So you can quickly find help on what you need to do in the Coupa Supplier Portal. There's also online chat and help tour available in the Coupa Supplier Portal. Another useful page is compass.coupa.com. And the login page for the Coupa Supplier Portal is supplier.coupahost.com. Today in this webinar, I'm going to cover all important features and functionalities of the Coupa Supplier Portal, and I will start by looking at your registration emails. I will show you what the registration email looks like and how to register. I will explain how to do the minimum setup needed so you can receive your payments digitally and create invoices. Next, I'll show you how to invite other users to your account and how to merge CSP accounts. I will also show you how to manage your notifications. With the Coupa Supplier Portal demo version, I will demonstrate to you how to view your purchase orders and submit invoices, how to create credit notes and resolve disputes, and I will navigate you to check the payment status of your invoices and find the remittance advice. At the end of the webinar, we will have a Q&A session where you will be able to ask your questions directly. Now, let me show you how to activate your Coupa account. You will receive an invitation to register for the Coupa Supplier Portal by email. This is a sample of a branded invitation that you see here. The invitation will come from the email address donot reply@supplier.coupa.com. If you do not find the invitation, please check your spam or junk folder. You can also search the invitation by the subject line, activate your Coupa account for invoicing and digital payments. Normally, the subject line will also contain your customer's name. This is a sample of a subject line. The subject line might be slightly different for different customers. In very rare cases, if you still don't receive the invitation, this is most likely because of your company firewall. In that case, please contact your IT department and ask your IT colleagues to release the email coming from donot reply@supplier.coupa.com to you. Once you receive the invitation, click on the Get Started button. You may also receive the standard CSP invitation. This invitation will come from the email address do_not_reply@supplier.coupahost.com. Here you need to click on Join Coupa to proceed with the registration, or you may choose to forward the invitation to a colleague. By clicking on the Get Started or Join Coupa buttons, you will proceed to the registration page where you will need to fill in your first, last name, create your password, and click on the Create an Account button. At this point, your CSP account is created. The system will also require that you verify your email. You will need to get the 6-digit verification code sent to your email address and enter it here to proceed. On the next screen, you will have the possibility to join an existing Coupa account at your organization or create a new CSP account. Very often, suppliers already have a CSP account created previously to work with other Coupa customers. If your company does have an existing account that you're using, you will see this screen, and you can select the first radio button to view the existing account or accounts and potentially join an account. It's typically better for you to join an existing account as an additional user instead of creating your own standalone account for one customer. Please note that the system will show you only users with the same email domain. It will not show users with generic email domains like Gmail and Yahoo. If you'd like to register a standalone CSP user account, select the second radio button to create a new account. In this case, bear in mind that if at some point in the future you need to give access to that customer to other registered CSP users in your company, you will have to go through the merge accounts process. I will show you how to merge accounts later in the webinar. If you do not have an existing CSP account with the same domain name, you will not see this screen at all. On the next page, you will be brought to a wizard that will guide you to add your contact, business, payment, and company information. On this screen, please enter your contact information and business address. On the next screen, please enter your company website if you have one and the tax ID, then click on Next. In the next 3 steps, you will have to add your invoice from address, then remit-to address and ship from address. Please provide your invoice from address here, then click on Next. If your remit-to address is the same as your invoice from address, from the drop-down menu, you can select Same as Invoice from Location, and the system will automatically populate the same address, or you can select Add New Pay-to Location to add a different address. Same with the Ship from address. You can select it as your Invoice from or Pay-to address, or add a new Ship from location. The next part of the wizard will require that you add your payment details. If you are a non-US supplier, however, or non-pay supplier, you will not see the payment screens. The payment cards shown here are only for US suppliers and a few non-US suppliers that have a pay customer. For all other countries and non-pay suppliers, I will show you in a moment when we get into the demo how you can add your payment details in the Coupa Supplier Portal. You can also visit supplier.coupa.com for guidance on how to enter your payment details into the Coupa Supplier Portal. If you are a US supplier, however, or a supplier from Australia, South Africa, Spain, Japan, China, Sweden, Singapore, Portugal, Denmark, and Brazil, you will see the payment screens. Based on your customer's payment configuration, you may see this screen where you will be required to enter your information for credit card payments. You may select My company would like to receive credit card payments. You may use the CSP login email address or select to enter a different email address to receive your virtual credit cards. Or you may select My company does not accept credit card payments. Also, if you hover over the info sign, you will get more information on how the virtual card payments work. If your customer doesn't offer virtual credit card payments, you will not see the credit card screen at all, and you will be brought directly to this screen to add your bank details instead. You will also land on this page from the previous one if you have selected My company does not accept credit card payments. If you see this screen, please enter your bank name and account number, then fill in your bank routing number. This will be the ACH, or also known as EFT routing number for direct deposit. The example here is with the US setup. If you'd like to upload a document as a proof of bank account ownership, for example, voided check, bank statement, or bank letter, you will be able to do so when you click on the button Choose Files at the bottom of the screen. Depending on your customer's setup, you may also see this screen asking you to select your early pay discount preferences. The early pay discount program is optional for both customers and suppliers. If your customer offers early payments in return for a discount, you'll be notified and receive more information in the future. If you see this screen and are not interested in early pay discounts, select My company does not offer discounts, then click on Next. Again, not all of you will see the same wizard cards shown here. For some of you, this wizard may look different depending on your customer setup and on your country. On the next page, you can add information about the year of establishment of your company, currency, company size, area of service, and then continue. If you are a diverse business, you will also have the possibility to select the diversity category of your business. This information will be very helpful for Coupa customers looking to partner with diverse businesses. If you have selected the diversity category here, on the next step, you will be able to upload your certificates. If this does not apply to you, you can skip these two cards. On the next screen, you can select industry and product and service categories. The last screen of the wizard will give you the possibility to select to have your business verified. Our Coupa customers have the option to search for suppliers that offer certain products and services. To enhance your business promotion to the Coupa community, Coupa offers a special program called Coupa Verified. The Coupa Verified solution is an optional program you can select here or later in your CSP account. This is a subscription program where your business will undergo a business data review and validation of the business contact information. Once the verification is completed, your business will receive a Coupa Verified badge. Being verified results in your business appearing ahead of non-verified suppliers in the search results. So if your business gets verified, you have a higher chance than the non-verified suppliers of getting quickly discovered as a trusted brand by our Coupa customers. This way, Coupa can help you grow your business. If you are interested and want to get a Coupa Verified badge, you can select Continue with Coupa Verified button. And if you're not interested, you can select the second option to continue with free. If you're not able to decide right on spot, you can X out the screen to get out of the wizard and continue into the Coupa Supplier Portal. In your CSP account, you will be able to start the verification process at any time when you click on the Get Verified button in the Coupa Verified banner that you will see under the Home and Profile tabs. I will now switch to a demo version of the Coupa Supplier Portal to show you what it looks like and how it works. This is what the Coupa Supplier Portal looks like. At the top of the screen in the blue ribbon, you see the main navigation tabs, and at the bottom, when you hover over the language, you may select to use the Coupa Supplier Portal in a language different than English. Once you have completed your registration and you are in your CSP account, please navigate to the Setup tab, then select the Legal Entity Setup option to the left to make sure your company and payment information is in place. To access the Legal Entity Setup option initially, you will need to activate the multi-factor authentication first. The multi-factor authentication is a mandatory step that has been introduced to add an extra layer of protection to secure your account. The activation is on a user level, so any account user who wants to add or update your company and payment information will have to go through the multi-factor authentication step. You can find detailed information on how to activate your multi-factor authentication on our compass.coupa.com page. If you have already activated your multi-factor authentication, when you click on the Legal Entity Setup option, the system will require that you enter your multi-factor authentication code. If you have followed the steps of the wizard, you will see your company and payment information here. If for some reason you see a blank page, let's say for example you skip the wizard, you can add your company and payment information in your CSP account at any time when you click on the Setup tab, Legal Entity Setup, and then Add Legal Entity. I will create a brand new entity for you to show you what this wizard looks like. It's very similar to the onboarding cards that I already showed you. It just looks in a different way. So you need to enter the name of your company and select the country where your company is located, then click on Continue. On the next page, if this is the first time you're registering your CSP account, in the section Which customers do you want to see this, you will see only one customer. If you have been using Coupa for a while with other customers, you will see the full list of your customers, and you may select all the customers you wish to share this information with. I will select only one customer for the moment. In the next section, you will need to add your invoice from address. And if your remit-to and ship from addresses are the same as your invoice from address, leave these two boxes below selected. If you wish to provide a different remit-to or ship from address, remove the ticker, and on the next pages you will have the possibility to add a different remit-to and or ship from address. The tax ID field is an optional field for US suppliers. We strongly recommend that you add your tax ID here. For non-US suppliers, this will be a mandatory field marked with asterisks, so you will need to enter your VAT or GST number depending on the location to be able to continue. Once you have filled in all the information here, click on Save and Continue. On the next page, in the Payment Type drop-down menu, you can select bank account or virtual card to provide your payment information. Let me show you the page with the bank account first. This is the US setup. So you will need to enter your bank name, account number, confirm the account number, and for payments within the United States, the ACH routing number. For some of the non-US suppliers, the system here will show a drop-down menu with various codes, bank codes to choose from. Please select the bank code that applies to your country. For suppliers from the European Union countries, the setup will be different. The system will require you to enter your IBAN number and SWIFT code. SWIFT code is also required for the US setup, so I will enter the SWIFT code here to be able to continue. Then scroll down and click on Save and Continue. The system is verifying the information for a couple of seconds. It is verifying, for example, whether the SWIFT code you entered corresponds to the country where your bank is located. Then click on Next, and then Done. One more time Done. And we have just created a brand new legal entity. If in the future you wish to update some of the information in the legal entity, company name, address, bank account, at the moment the system will not allow you to edit information. So you will need to click on the Actions tab, select Deactivate Legal Entity, and then enter all the information from scratch by clicking on the Add Legal Entity button. A lot of you are already Coupa users and you have a legal entity created. So whenever you receive a request from a new customer to start using Coupa for invoicing or digital payments, you may add that customer to an existing legal entity provided that you use exactly the same company and payment information for that customer. To do so, you need to click on the Actions tab, then select Manage Legal Entity, then Continue. And on the next page, in the section, which customers do you want to see this? Select the customer you wish to add to this legal entity. Then scroll down, click on Continue. And in the third step, you have two scenarios. Very often, suppliers create their legal entity only with the company name and address, no payment information. So if you don't have the payment information, you can click on the Add Remit-to button here and add your payment details. Let me show you this time what the virtual card page looks like. From the payment type drop-down menu, you will need to select virtual card. And then you will need to enter the email address that you wish to share with your Coupa Pay customer to receive your virtual card payments. You also have the option to connect your CSP account to your Stripe account. Select the box Process Credit Cards Automatically, then click on the Connect with Stripe button. You will be directed to the Stripe page where you can log into your Stripe account. After the login, your CSP and Stripe accounts will be connected. Any card payments you receive from your Coupa Pay customers thereafter will be automatically deposited to your Stripe account. You can disconnect at any time. Here, you will also need to add your remit-to address and then scroll down to the bottom and make sure all your Coupa Pay customers are selected, the ones you wish to share this virtual card information with. Then click on Save and Continue. I will go one step back to show you another scenario. If you have created your legal entity along with your payment information, find the payment entry and click on the Manage tab. Scroll down to the bottom and make sure you have selected all the customers you wish to share this information with. You may have a mixed group of customers in your customers list here. Customers that use Coupa to pay their suppliers, Coupa Pay customers, and customers that do not use Coupa for supplier payments, non-pay customers. You can distinguish between a pay and non-pay customer by the wallet icon. All Coupa Pay customers will have the wallet icon on the right-hand side. Non-pay customers will not have the wallet icon. By selecting your Coupa Pay customers here, you immediately share with them your bank or virtual card details through Coupa. Whereas if you select the non-pay customer, your payment information will not be shared with that customer through Coupa. but your payment information will appear on your CSP invoices for that customer. For most of you who use Coupa for invoicing, your customers may require that your payment details be present on your CSP invoices. So you must select your customer here so they can see your payment details on your CSP invoices. Suppliers can still get digital payments from their non-pay customers in the system outside of Coupa, but they will have to share their payment information with their non-pay customers directly, via email, for example. The only way for the supplier to share their payment information with the non-pay customer through the portal is if that customer has enabled the supplier information management form. In that case, you will need to click on the Profile tab, then click on Information Requests. From the drop-down menu, select the customer so that the system loads the supplier information management form of that customer. Enter the name of your company, primary address, primary contact. Depending on your customer's setup, the supplier information management form may require different information. At the bottom of the form, you will have the possibility to add your payment information. You will either see a subform within the same form to add your payment information directly, or you will need to click on the Add Remit-to tab to add your payment information. Once you have filled in all the required fields in the form, hit the Submit for Approval button, and your customer will receive the supplier information management form on their end of Coupa. Note that Coupa Pay customers may also require that you send your information to them in this form. If a customer, pay or non-pay, has enabled the supplier information management form, that form will also be included in the onboarding wizard. The last step of the wizard will direct you to the form. Let me now go back again to the Setup tab and show you another way to add your payment information or share your payment information with your Coupa Pay customers. This time, I will select the option Remit-to. And if I want to add a new set of payment information, I need to click on the Add Remit-to tab. You will be able to add your payment information following this path, provided that you have a legal entity created first. Then click on Next, and this is the page that you already know. If you already have your information in your CSP account, find that information. Let's take the Bank of America entry here and click on the gray plug-like icon. Then enter the name of the customer. Click on Add Selected, Next, and then that customer will be added to the customers list that belongs to this entry. If you have just added a Coupa Pay customer, make sure that next to that Coupa Pay customer, you see a green check mark. That green check mark means that your payment information has been successfully shared with your Coupa Pay customer, and they're now able to see your payment information on their end of Coupa. If instead of a green check mark, you see a red flag, that means that your payment information has not been successfully shared with your Coupa Pay customer. Hover over to see what the error message says. It indicates here that there's something wrong with the bank code. Check next whether you see the edit pencil icon here, because this will allow you to edit your information. For this example, I have selected a Canadian supplier using US dollar payments, and the bank is outside of the United States. To make this example wrong, from the bank code drop-down menu, I have selected routing number. The Canadian supplier can correct this entry when they select transit number and institution number. Enter that number here, then scroll down and click on Update, and the red flag will disappear and they will see a green check mark instead. In some very rare cases, you may see a red flag, but there's no edit button. So you will not be able to edit your payment information. Try and create a new remit-to by clicking on the Add Remit-to tab for that particular customer. If the error persists, you will need support from our supplier support team that you can reach out to either by using the chat box here below or by sending them an email to supplier@coupa.com. The team is available 24/5 in English. Under the Setup tab, you can also manage the users of your account. If you wish to add a new user to your account, you need to click on the Invite User tab. Enter their first, last name, email address, and send them the invitation. You may also decide what permissions the new user will have. You may decide that they're not going to be an admin, they're not going to follow up on payments, they're not going to submit invoices. They only need access to view the orders. Bear in mind that whenever you remove permissions here, you literally remove the tabs that that user is going to see when they log in. So if you remove the admin rights from that user, they're not going to see the setup tab. Respectively, they won't be able to manage the users or the company and payment information of your CSP account. You can always give these permissions back when you find the user and click on the Edit tab opposite that user and simply select the box and then Save. Bear in mind that every customer can connect link to only one user, only one email address from your organization. If in your CSP account you have other users that you know work with that customer, you will need to enable that customer for those users so that they're able to see their purchase orders and submit the invoices for that customer. Click on the Edit tab next to each user, and in the section Customers, make sure to select the box next to that customer. This will enable the customer for that user, will make the customer visible for that user. Then click on Save. You will be able to add users to your account by using the Invite User tab, only provided that the email address you're trying to invite has not been previously registered as a CSP user with another customer. If that's the case, the only way to provide access to that user to your account is by merging your account with theirs. Under the Setup tab, select the second option, Merge Requests. This is a two-step process, so one of you needs to initiate the merge, enter the email address of the other user, user number 2, and request the merge. Step number 2, user number 2 will need to log into their CSP account, navigate to Setup, Merge Requests, and they will find your merge request in the Open Merge Request section. They need to click on the Respond button, then select the box I recognize the email address above and click on Accept. At that point, the two accounts will be merged. So if I have 2 customers in my account and you have 3 customers, in the end, we will have only one account with all 5 customers together, and the users from both accounts will be also transferred to the new account. Before you accept the merge, always make sure that you recognize the user that sent you the merge request and that you know what content you are going to get from their account, because once you merge, you cannot unmerge. If you don't recognize the user, you'd better click on the Cancel or Reject tabs. In order to complete the merge, both users, user 1 and user 2, need to have admin rights. Let me now show you the notifications section in the upper right corner of the screen. This is the place where you're going to get a notification every single time there's certain activity in your account. A new order is received, an invoice is approved, etc. By default, you're also going to get email notifications, and you can control your notification preferences on the user level. Click on the Notification Preferences tab, scroll through the sections, and select or unselect the email boxes. Respectively, you will start receiving or you will discontinue receiving certain emails according to your preferences. Then scroll down and click on Save. To the right of the notifications section is our online help center. This is the page that I previously mentioned, supplier.coupa.com. Here you will find a lot of video materials, articles, everything you need to know to start using the Coupa Supplier Portal and to continue using the Coupa Supplier Portal. To the left of the notifications section is the place where you can manage your account settings. Here you can change your password or you can edit your multi-factor authentication preferences. So you may select to have the multi-factor authentication on a login level or to be required only when you update your company and payment information. You may also select and switch between getting the multi-factor authentication code via the Authenticator app or via SMS. Let me quickly show you again the Profile tab. Here's the place where you can manage your public profile. Coupa customers have access to your public profile, the information that you have entered about your company under the Profile tab. Click on Company Profile option here, then Edit Profile. And when you scroll down through the sections, you will see that here you can enter the same information that was required in the onboarding cards. So if you skipped some of the onboarding cards, you can come back here later at any time and add your company information to represent your company the best possible way in the Coupa world. If you wish to upload your diversity certificates, you can do so when you click on the second option here, Environmental, Social Governance, and Diversity, and then Edit section. And when you click on Add, here you will be able to upload your certificates. Now let me show you how to create an invoice in the Coupa Supplier Portal. There are two ways to create an invoice. You can create an invoice against the purchase order, PO-backed invoice, or you can create an invoice without the purchase order, non-PO invoice. In any case, always check with your customer what type of invoices they are going to accept. There are customers that will accept only PO-backed invoices, and there are customers that will also accept non-PO invoices. If you wish to create an invoice against the purchase order, the process starts under the Orders tab. And you can either click on the gold coins on the right-hand side of the purchase order or on the PO number. Another way to start the invoicing is if you click on the Invoices tab. Here you will see the tab Create Invoice from a PO. When you click on that tab, you will go back to the Orders section. Let's now click on the PO number. When you click on the PO number, you will be able to view the content of your purchase order. And in your purchase order, there is a lot of useful information. In the General Info section, you will find the name and the email address of the buyer, the one who created the purchase order. So once you view the purchase order, if you have some questions and you wish to clarify something, you can email the buyer the old way, or you can use the comment section down below to type your question, then click on Add Comment, and your buyer will be notified that they received a comment to this purchase order and they will reply the same way. The purchase order itself is always with net amounts. It may have 1, 2, multiple lines. There are two types of lines. You may have an amount-based line where you will have a total amount, or you may have a quantity-based line where you have quantity, unit of measure, unit price, total. You can use one purchase order once for the total amount, and then for your next invoice, you will need a new purchase order, or partial invoicing is also allowed. You can create multiple invoices against the same purchase order until the amounts get depleted. The general rule is that you should not exceed the total amount of the purchase order and the total amounts in each and every line. In the purchase order itself, you have the Create Invoice tab. When you click on that tab, the system is loading your company and payment information that you entered under Setup Legal Entity Setup, and it will be displayed on the right-hand side of the invoice. Below your information will be the customer's information coming from the purchase order. To create an invoice, you will need an invoice number. Coupa does not generate automatically invoice numbers, so you will have to create your own invoice number, select the invoice date, and if there are documents that you would like to send along with your invoice, in the attachment section, you can click on File, Browse, and find and upload your documents. You don't need to upload your own PDF invoice because Coupa will generate a country-compliant legal document. It will also generate a PDF file of your CSP invoice that you can download. I will show you in a moment where you can download that PDF file. Now, going back to the line section. If you're going to use the purchase order the way it is, you see that the content has been transferred to the invoice. This is what we call PO flip. And if you don't apply taxes, just scroll down and click Submit. If you wish to add taxes and you don't see the tax drop-down menu on the line level, check for this small line level taxation box. Some of the US suppliers may need to click on that box so that the drop-down menu with the taxes appears on a line level. Some US suppliers and all of the non-US suppliers will be able to see the drop-down menu with the taxes applicable in their country already on a line level. The taxes are selected on a line level because you may have items that are taxed differently, so you should be technically able to select a different tax rate. Even if it's 0 tax rate, please select it from the drop-down menu. If you wish to add freight cost, you can use for that purpose the shipping field here. Enter the freight cost, but always check with your customer because different customers have different setups. So some customers will allow you to add your freight cost in the shipping box, but some customers will require that you add your freight cost on a line level. So for that purpose, you will need to have in your purchase order a line for the freight cost. If it's missing, contact your buyer and ask them to add that line for you. Once you have filled in the information, click on Calculate below and then hit Submit. Always check the totals, total tax, net total, gross total, because once you submit the invoice, you cannot edit or delete it. In the case of partial invoicing, if you have an amount-based line, simply enter the total net amount of your invoice for this line. If you have quantity, you can change the quantity. For example, we enter 50 here. Also, if in your purchase order you have multiple lines, but today in your invoice you wish to use only some of the lines, you must delete the lines that you're not going to use by clicking on the red dot and remove them from the invoice. You remove them only from the invoice, not from the purchase order. So next time when you take the same purchase order, the lines will still be there and you will be able to use them. Do not zero out the amounts in the lines. This will do the math for you. The calculation here will be correct. You will even be able to submit the invoice, but this will generate an error on the customer side of Coupa and they won't be able to approve that invoice. They will most likely reject or dispute that invoice. Also, if you have been using this purchase order multiple times already and there are lines that are fully depleted and have zero funds in them, you must remove these lines. So again, calculate and submit. In the next step, if the invoice is ready, you can click on Send Invoice, or if you wish to still edit, check something, you can click on Continue Editing to go back into the invoice. Let me now show you how to create an invoice without the purchase order. The process starts under the Invoices tab, and under the Invoices tab, you have the Create Blank Invoice button. When you click on that button, the system will load the same template. Your company payment information will be visible. You will need the invoice number. You can add the attachments. The main difference is in the lines section. Because there's no purchase order content to be transferred to the invoice, you will have to create that content yourselves. So from the Type drop-down menu, you may select quantity or an amount-based line, add the short description, quantity, unit of measure, price. If you wish to add a second, third line, use this option here to add lines to your non-PO invoice. If you have freight costs, use the shipping field here, then scroll down, calculate, and submit. Under the Invoices tab is the place where you can follow up on the status of your invoices. So the first status that you're going to see is pending approval. When the invoice gets approved, the status will change to approved. Let me show you where you can download the PDF file of your invoice. In the first column, Invoice column, click on the invoice number. And then in the General Info section, upper left corner, where you have Legal Invoice, click on Download. The system will load the PDF file, and this is what the CSP invoice looks like. I have modeled a few invoices and the system generated drafts. I can delete these drafts. You can also save an invoice as a draft yourself, come back later, click on the Edit tab, edit the invoice, check it, and then submit it. But once submitted, the invoice cannot be edited or deleted. There are no Actions tabs here. So if you wish to correct an invoice, you will need to create a credit note. Under the Invoices tab, you can click on Create Credit Note tab. Select the invoice number that you wish to correct, click on Continue, and you can either completely cancel the invoice with the first option here, or you can create a partial credit note and adjust the amount, the quantity only when you select the second option. Then click on Create. On the Create Credit Note page, you will need to enter a credit note number and then scroll down. If you're going to completely cancel, simply hit Submit. If this is a partial credit note, just remove the amount that you wish to credit. Let's set 10, for example, here. Then scroll down, click on Calculate, and then Submit. The customer will pay the difference between the invoice and the credit note. Another situation where you need to correct an invoice is when that invoice has been disputed by your customer. You're going to get an email notification every time an invoice is approved or disputed when the status changes. Log into your CSP account, find the disputed invoice, and that's the only case in the Coupa Supplier Portal where you have an edit button. Click on this icon here, the resolve button. This is very similar to the create credit note process, but this time the correction tabs are within the invoice. Scroll down, and here are the same two options: to completely cancel the invoice or to correct the invoice with a partial credit note. Before you take any action, however, always check in the comments section below the invoice why this invoice was disputed in first place and what you need to do to correct it. Your customer will always leave a note with the reason for the dispute, and they will give you guidance and instructions on how to correct the invoice. One of the biggest benefits for you as a supplier by using the Coupa Supplier Portal is that in the Coupa Supplier Portal, you can follow up on the payments of your invoices. If you have at least one Coupa Pay customer, you will see the Payments tab in the blue ribbon. When you click on that Payments tab, in the drop-down menu, you will only see your Coupa Pay customers. Select the Coupa Pay customer, and then click on the payment number that goes along with an invoice or multiple invoices, and you will be able to see the details of the payment on each and every invoice here. If you don't see the Payments tab, but you know that you have Coupa Pay customer, most likely you have been restricted by the admin. Contact the admin and ask them to enable that tab, that permission for you. They need to click on the Setup tab, Users, find your user, click on the Edit tab, and then click on the Payments box here, then save it, and the Payments tab will appear in your user's view. You can also follow up on the payments of your invoices from your non-pay customers, but you can find that information under the Invoices tab. When you click on Invoices, again, select the customer, and then from the View drop-down menu, select Payment Information. The system will show you the details of the payment in the last column. In the first column, the invoice will be marked with yes or no. Of course, the invoice needs to be approved first. So you will find the information about the payment, including payment number, payment method, date, and amount. You may also select to check the outstanding invoices, the ones that haven't been paid yet. Select the unpaid invoices option here, and you will see the invoices that are outstanding. You can also generate a report. When you click on the Export to tab, you may select to create an Excel or CSV file. The last tab that I would like to show you today is the Catalogs tab. This is where you can upload catalog files for your customers to access. If your customer would like you to add a catalog for their buyers, they will notify you directly. Well, this is everything you need to know to be able to start using the Coupa Supplier Portal. I hope this webinar was useful for you. For additional information in the future, you can use the Coupa online support pages. Thank you very much for your attention.